Alright. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Elden Ring guide. Um, I always wanted to make a guide for a game, and this is the game I have the most in-depth knowledge of. I hesitate to say I hold the most, because I don't. There are people way more skilled and know way more about the game than I do, but I'm going to go ahead and try my best and give it a shot to guide you on how to play the game. Right, so, we're going to hit new game. Whoops, hold up. Let me get rid of that. Okay. And now, we can begin. So, the first thing we're going to want to do is pick a starting class. Now, different, stats, if you hit Y to see the attributes of each character, you're probably wondering what each of these mean. Well, to give a basic idea, Vigor is your health, your mind is your magicka and how many times you can use a weapon skill or spell before running out. Your endurance is your stamina and equipment load. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, and faith are all modifiers for weapons to control how much damage they do besides weapon upgrades. And arcane is a little bit of a weird stat, but it kind of does a mix of things, but for now, we'll just refer to it as our luck stat, as that is its most basic feature. As you can see, there are lots of different starting classes. For the time being, though, we are going to pick the Vagabond starting class. And now we get to design a name. In case you're wondering what the body types do, this is basically a difference between male and female. And for this, we don't really have a preference. Our name, I'm just going to call him something pretty basic, like John. Let's call him John Elden Ring. Yeah, that's like a good name. And now we get to pick, Origin is basically just like the starting class. You can see some more in-depth look of their equipment as well. The Vagabond is a warrior with like a longsword, a halberd, and a 100% physical defense shield. Warrior is basically a dual curve sword. Hero is battle axe and medium shield. Bandit is dagger, buckler, and short bow. This is a astrologer. It's a sorcerer. You know, and pretty basic stuff. Keepsake. It's basically your starting gift. This is like an extra piece of equipment you can have to help you at the beginning of the game, give you a little bit of an extra boost at the beginning when you need it. Your options are the Crimson Amber Medallion, which increases your maximum HP by about, I want to say, 6%. The Lance Between Rune, which gives you about, I want to say, 400, maybe 600 runes. Not really certain. The Golden Seed, which gives you a free upgrade to your flask. This means you get one extra healing flask right at the beginning of the game. This is very useful. In my opinion, it's very useful. The Fanged Imp Ashes, which gives you a different summon you can use at the beginning of the game. I don't really think this is that good. Yeah, I really don't think they're that good, honestly. The Cracked Pot, this is basically what you can use to make explosives and different crafting materials. You know, honestly, these are useful if you're... this is really only useful if you're a certain kind of person, and I don't really think these are that useful. We can get more later. Stone Sword Keys. These are very useful because they can be used to unlock different fog walls that hide unique loot behind them. The Bewitching Branch. Basically what this does is it basically allows you to make enemies your allies for about 3 minutes. This isn't very useful for a first playthrough because, in my opinion anyway, you don't really know what all these are going to work on, and personally, I have done very little research into this item, so honestly, I recommend picking something else. The Boiled Prawn. This increases your physical damage negation by, I believe, 15% for about 60 seconds. So this is actually very useful early game when your damage negation's quite low. This isn't half bad, honestly. This isn't a bad one to pick. And then you have Shabriri's Woe, which, this one attracts enemy aggression. So, this one is more of like a, oh, you want a little bit of extra challenge right at the beginning of the game kind of thing. Personally, I recommend, if this is your first playthrough, I recommend either picking the Lance Between Rune, the Golden Seed, or the Stone Sword Keys. Personally, I'm going to pick the Stone Sword Keys. And our base template is basically sort of a thing that will determine what our character looks like. So I guess we'll pick something that's fairly accurate in name, a loner. That's me. And as for our age, we're just gonna pick something like young. You have different voice samples to see what our character's voice would sound like. We'll go with the mature voice one, why not? And this is where you can pick your skin color. Not too many options here. We're gonna go with something kind of silly, so we're gonna go with, like, we'll go for a pretty pink. Why not? I just realized our character kind of looks like Jesus. Okay, now that I've made that connection, I have to make Jesus. Oh god, they don't really have a Jesus skin color, do they? Yeah, nah, that works, why not? Blue eyes, yeah, that's fair. Jesus had more brown hair, didn't he? He didn't have blonde, though. I think gray hair is about as close. Jesus also didn't have the beard, did he? Well, did he have a beard? I don't... Jesus has a beard, doesn't he? Yeah, he has something like that, I'd say. Yeah. This isn't that far off. Jesus had blue eyes, I think. I think we want something more like brown, but I think in order to do that, we have to make his skin color a bit darker, so that way it sort of matches better. Now we can go to... What does bod look like? This is where you control the size of the head as well. We'll make him muscular. Why not? Jesus was muscular. Why not? Oh, God. What else? I'm getting really into character customization, by the way. I'm very sorry. They don't really have a brown, honestly. They have this, but that's, like, same color as the beard, which isn't great. I think we want something like this, because I think that's just going to be the closest we're going to get. Jesus didn't have any tattoos or really any cosmetics. So I think, honestly, this is as good as it's going to get. Blue eyes is probably about accurate, I would say. Alright, and we can save... I'll save this to one of my favorites as something we can do. And with that, we have now selected our Jesus figure. John Elden Ring, everyone. Alright, let's go. We're gonna watch this cutscene. It's very nice. So, you probably won't hear me say anything for a little while. Might hear me take some sips of water, though.
Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Arise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all. Horalu, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask. Fear, the deathbed companion, the loathsome dung-eater, and Sir Gideon Othniel, the all-knowing. And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring. And become the Elden Lord.
Alright. And now that we've spawned in, you get the chance to move around and look around. You probably won't hear me explain too much about what each of the buttons do, because that depends on which platform you're playing on. I'm playing on a controller right now, but some people might be using the mouse and keyboard, so I won't really go too much into what each of the buttons do. But if you are curious, I will also be going through the tutorial, which will have pop-ups in it that explain certain things are. And in case it wasn't obvious, this is not quite the tutorial. We get there in a hot minute, so don't worry. And as you can see, these are different messages that other players have left around. So if you have, but this only appears if you are online. Fair enough. And now you can enter this little arena here. And with it, you fight an enemy called the Grafted Scion. This guy is pretty tough. You're really meant to die against this guy, but I'm gonna try to do my best to fight him. Oof. I'm not doing a very good job if it wasn't obvious. Oof. See what I mean? I'm not very good against this guy. Well, there we go. I died. I didn't do a very good job there. And now we enter another cutscene. Sorry about that noise, by the way. Nothing's happening yet, anyway.
Don't worry, Torrent. Fortune is on his side. We found him here, after all. One of his kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
Alright, as you can see, we are now ready to start playing the game. We got ourselves our healing flask and our FP refilling flask. The FP refilling flask is basically, I'll show you what our weapon skills do in a moment. But first we need to go down to the Cave of Knowledge. Yep, as you can see, basic controls and actions. I apologize for sneezing. And as you can see, there's this guy here who tells you what the tutorial is as well. Alright, so we drop down here on this ledge, and then we drop down here. As you can see, it tells you how to use items and how to cycle between them. We're going to go up to this side of Grace, which will allow you to basically find brief respite. It's kind of like a checkpoint, a save point, if you will. So we're just going to come here. We haven't really done anything to warrant resting here yet, but we will later. For now, we're just going to come up here. As you can see, resetting the camera, you press R to reset. Like so, if you've got it facing this way, you can press R to bring it forward again. And if you go up to an enemy, you can press R again to lock onto him. You can attack by pressing the R1. Yep. Pretty solid overall. And you can do a strong attack by pressing the right trigger and also guarding. So we're just going to wait for this guy to attack. As you can see, guarding makes us lose stamina, so we're just going to hit him with a heavy attack. We're going to wait for this guy to do an attack as well. Back away from him. As you can see, we rolled, which allows you to turn back and reposition. We're just going to stab him. There we go. Alright, so far so good. As you can see, we come up to this ledge here. Press A to jump. I mean, press A to jump if you're playing on an Xbox controller like I am. And obviously, you want to run by holding forward and L. And you want to acquire these materials, which can allow you to craft different things when we... But we don't have the ability to craft anything yet, so... It's going to be a little while before those come of use, but believe me, those will be useful. You can also change how you wield armors by holding Y and then pressing the attack button in order to two-hand your weapon. Killing the knight. Then you can go back to one-handing by doing this, by doing the same thing. And now we get to take on this dude, and you can... move R around to change targets. The right stick to be specific. So we're just going to kill these guys. And now we go up here to fight this knight, who is shooting crossbow bolts at us, which you can dodge out of the way of, or you can walk to the side. And as you can see, we just fell off. You're going to be doing a lot of that if you're not careful. Thankfully, we didn't take fall damage, but if you're not careful, that will happen. Especially if you don't position yourself right. Which is exactly what I did, and I'm supposed to be the one teaching you guys something. Oh well. Here you can do that, which is a unique feature called a guard counter, where if you guard, get hit, and then immediately follow up with a heavy attack, you can do a guard counter. And now we get to fight these guys, and this is where they begin to explain weapon skills. So, If you're one-handing a weapon with a shield and you're offhand, it'll use the weapon skill of the shield. This one is the parry. I'm not very good at parrying, so I'm just going to switch to two-handed, and I'm going to use the square off skill. And now you could follow up with a light attack or the heavy attack. So that was the light attack. I'll show you guys the heavy attack in a hot minute. And also you can crouch as well, and I'll show you. See what I mean? That's the difference between the light attack and the heavy attack. And as we're crouching through these bushes to be stealthy, we're gonna... Okay, I messed it up there, but you can get a backstab on those guys. I'll show you how in a hot minute when we go out into the open world. And this is where they introduce jumping attacks. So you can do a light jumping attack, like this, or you can do a jumping heavy. And then you can follow it up with a riposte for a critical attack, and do massive damage. Pretty simple stuff, right? And then we come up to this thing, Stake of America. So Stakes of America are basically, again, very similar to Graces, like checkpoints. However, you cannot rest at them, and you don't have the ability to reallocate flasks, and later on, use your Wondrous Physic, which is a unique item that we'll get to later. So as you can see, we enter here, and now we go fight. These are the area boss, the Soldier of Godric. The guard counters, and this is where they officially explain guard counters, where if you block... Okay, we strafed that attack. I'll explain more about that later. And then we immediately follow up with heavy. He's downed, and then we can follow up with a riposte. And that right there, we just defeated the Soldier of Godric. Hardest boss in the game. I'm just kidding, of course. That guy was super easy. Oh no, trust me. If you have trouble with that, I'm sorry. Don't worry. It gets worse. Much worse. Alright, so now we're going to go outside to this door. You might want to keep an eye out for these golden tree things, because usually they have unique items next to them. This one did not, but that's the exception that defines the rule. Now we gotta step outside. And now we come to this Grace. And we want to rest here because we use some FP, just to refill it. And then we can see this thing here. This is a place where you can use those stone sword keys that you collected earlier. I don't really recommend it, though. We're going to wait to come back here because this cave is very hard to do. So we'll come back to it. We also want to pick up this item. This is for cooperative multiplayer. The Furled Finger basically allows you to act as an ally, and the Finger Sever allows you to leave ally worlds. This, again, only works if you have an internet connection, but hey, you know what? It's something, you know? Now we're going to go up the elevator. You do that by stepping on the button in the middle. And now we wait. Ah, yes. And now you see a door. And now we just open the door. And we are in the outside world. Very beautiful and scenic. But there's also a crucifix right there. And someone's being hung on it. I hope that's not foreshadowing. Anyway, we light this side of Grace, and we go speak to this NPC. Ah, yes, the Guidance of Grace. This basically tells you, hey, idiot, go this way, is pretty much what this tells you. And as you can see, you can open the map, showing you where to go. Very big world. Let's speak to Vare, why don't we?
Oh, yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity. Luckily for you, however, there is one shining ray of hope for even the maidenless. Me. Vare. Take care to listen. Are you familiar with grace? The golden light that gives life to you tarnished. You may also behold its golden rays, pointing in a particular direction at times. That is the guidance of grace, a path that a tarnished must travel. Indeed. Grace's guidance holds the answers. It will lead you, tarnished, to the path you are meant to follow, even if it leads you to your grave. Grace's guidance will reveal the path forward, most certainly, to Castle Stormvale, over on the cliff, the home of the decrepit demigod, Godric the Grafted. It's time you set off, I should think, to Castle Stormvale on the cliff, where Grace would guide you, if you seek the Elden Ring, maidenless as you are.
Indeed. Now we decide to go ahead and pick up some more items around this area. First, we decide to collect this golden item right here. You pick up the summoning pool and the small golden effigy. This allows you to interact with different parts of the map. Basically, what this does, it allows you to be summoned into other players' worlds more easily. As you can see, there's a golden knight up there walking back and forth between the crucifixes. We're going to avoid this person because he is very high level and we are not prepared to take him on. Instead, we're going to head left. We decide to head up towards this church here. But before we go through that side entrance, we're going to go through the front entrance and pick up this. This is a golden rune too. And the way you use these is you go into your inventory, you press A on it, and then you use it. That gave you 400 runes, bringing your total to 1,000. You see this smithing table here. This allows you to upgrade your armaments, and you get a free smithing stone 1. In order to upgrade your armament, you need another smithing stone 1 in order to fully upgrade your weapon. In order to upgrade your weapon to +1. We also see a merchant here. Let's go speak to him.
You're a tarnished. I can see it. And I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods.
We decide to learn more about Kale.
I am of a nomadic people, selling wares as I travel. The land has been tainted by madness since the shattering of the Elden Ring. It's only tarnished like yourself, who keep things from drying up entirely. Let's say you're a very welcome customer.
Let's hear his recommendation.
You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here for any duration. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take my cut. But the important thing is that you survive. Every customer counts, after all.
We decide to take him up on his offer and buy the crafting kit. While we're here, we also decide to buy the 2 notes. The note telling us where the Flask of Wondrous Physic is, and the note telling us about the person in the Waypoint Ruins.
I'm glad you took my warning to heart. You've made an excellent choice.
Now that we've done this, we can now continue upon our path. Make sure to light this site of grace, though, as it becomes important later. For the time being, we're just going to go along the path of grace, deciding to go along the main path. We'll come back for this place later, though. Trust me on that. We decide to take on the Soldier of Godric and defeat him. Sometimes they will drop unique items, like their armor. I just got very lucky here, and he dropped both his armor and his greaves. It's a bit heavier, but it does have better defense. However, the normal armor is actually a bit more of a trade-off. But I think it looks cool, so I'm going to keep it. We see more Godric Knights, so let's go ahead and get a backstab on one of them. As you can see, he just dropped another chess piece for me. You can sell duplicates of items at Kale and different merchants around the map. We've only unlocked Kale for now, so we'll be selling most of our stuff at Kale. As you can see, there's a cave over here. We're going to want to go in there, as it has a couple essential items we'll need for later. As you go inside, you can see a bunch of wolves down below. You want to lure them up to you one by one, so I recommend equipping the kookeries. Now that you have the kookeries, you're going to want to stab each of the wolves with them. That one-shot one. This one will not. This is a white wolf, and these guys are much tougher. We have now defeated the white wolf, allowing us for easy pickings on the rest of them. We pick up this cracked pot. This is an item we can use to make consumables, such as the fire pots and the roped fire pots. However, we're not done yet. We have more enemies to kill and more items to pick up, such as the cave moss, the glowstone, the golden rune, and the silver fireflies. Once we've done that, we can now head right and defeat this wolf. We then need to go down this cave. In this cave is a very tough boss. For this boss, I recommend two-handing your weapon and being prepared to use your weapon skill, the square off. Against this boss, you're going to want to use your stance and then use the heavy attack. Now back off again. Wait for him to finish his combo. He begins it by roaring, and then he does a series of combos ending in a jump and slam. Then attack him again. Roll away from most of his attacks, and then do another heavy. Now that he's staggered, you can do a riposte. You'll now want to back away from him again, and do it again. Make sure to dodge that attack. That attack can be a little wonky to dodge. Once you've taken a hit, you're gonna need to back away from him in order to heal. Get ready to stance again, and do a heavy attack. He now is roared, let him do his multi-hit combo. Now do the heavy attack again. Congratulations, you have now defeated the Beastman of Faramazula, and you have gained the Flame Drake Talisman. This one increases your fire damage negation by about, if I had to hazard a guess, by about 10%. This is actually a very solid defensive buff, especially early game. Now you'll want to come to this, but instead of using it to return to the entrance, I recommend opening your map and just fast traveling to the Grace at the beginning of the cave. With this, you will have restocked on your FP and flasks. Now go back outside and go defeat these Godric Knights again. They can sometimes drop extra smithing stones that you can use to upgrade your weapon. They can also drop torches, more armor, and weapons, in case you don't want to buy them from Kale. This guy dropped a smithing stone and some bolts that we can use for a crossbow we'll pick up later. This will give us a ranged option when we get a crossbow finally. But for now though, we just want to kill them all. Now that we've defeated the Godric soldiers, we now want to head towards this encampment here. In it, there's actually a very good item here, and in order to get it, we have to kill all of the enemies in the area. First, we want to take on the Shielded Knight at the beginning. Do a guard counter on him to instantly stagger him and get a riposte. You'll now want to go to the left side and crouch. You'll want to kill this knight here hiding in the bushes and pick up his brass shield. You'll also want to kill this knight here. This guy dropped the war pick and the gold soldier. Odds are with the amount of knights you're killing, you'll pick up some items sooner or later. I recommend doing it this way. These guys will sometimes drop weapon and armors. They have very low drop rates, but if you can get them to drop it, it's actually quite nice. We also want to go to this totem pole and pick up the map. However, we want to back away for now, as all the enemies are aggro due to that enemy blowing his horn. We're going to want to back up significantly until we can get them to fight. You'll want to constantly strafe around this knight's attacks in order to get repeated backstabs. You'll either want to do strafes to get backstabs, or guard counters to unlock a riposte. Once you've defeated the Godric Soldier Knight, you'll now want to take out the rest of the enemies in the camp. Now you'll want to pick up the purple item by this totem here, which will have a map of the entire area. Now you'll want to go attack the rest of the knights and kill the rest of them. You'll want to avoid going after the right side for now. Go towards the left and take out the knights here. These knights are way easier to take on as they're less condensed and easier to sneak up on. Once you've defeated the knights, you'll want to go to these chariots and pick up the items within them. This one has the flail. The flail is a unique item that does strike damage and bleed buildup. Bleed buildup is a status effect that if it builds up on an enemy, it will do a massive chunk of damage. That's percentage based. Once you've taken out the entire camp of enemies, go into these ruins beneath the camp. Open the door and collect your loot. In here is an Ash of War that allows you to apply skills to your weapon and the whetstone knife. The Ash of War is Storm Stomp. It's not a very good Ash of War, but it's nice, but it's a decent option if it's your first one. We won't be applying it for the time being, though. Instead, we're going to run up back to the Grace and rest at it. That's because we meet a unique NPC and unlock our ability to level up. However, before we do that, we're going to pick up this chest here. Inside of it is the Lord Sworn's Greatsword. It's the first of the Greatsword class we pick up. Now we're going to touch this side of Grace and then rest at it.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina. I offer you an accord. Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the two fingers, offering guidance and aid to the tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erd Tree.
Accept the accord.
Then it's settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring. Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
For the time being, we are actually going to level up.
Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions.
For the time being, we are actually going to increase our strength to 16 and then dump the rest of the points into endurance. We only have 3 levels right now, so we only can put 1 extra point into endurance. This is very important though. Now that we've done this, we want to return to Kale. Instead of riding the horse, we are actually going to ride the horse though. However, in order to do that, we want to replace the pouch and replace the Memory of Grace and replace it with the Spectral Steed. Then you want to hold Y and press up on the D-pad in order to summon Torrent. Now we're going to just run through the camp. You might have noticed by now that every time you rest at a site of grace, the enemies at it will respawn. However, the loot itself doesn't respawn. However, you can use this to your advantage when you're either farming for runes or farming for unique items and equipment. For now, we're going to rest at this site of grace. We are then going to fast travel back to where Kale is. And here you will see a witch.
A pleasure to meet thee, Tarnished. I am the witch Renna. I'd heard tell of a Tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk I surmise is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent.
Answer yes.
As I had hoped, I was entrusted this for thee by Torrent's former master. 'Tis a bell for calling forth spirits. Summon them with it. From ash and return to the Erd Tree, the spirits will obey thine command but briefly, as they recall battles past. Now it is thine, to do with as thou wishest. Forgive mine intrusion, Tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. But all the same, learn well the lands between. How long will it be, I wonder, before the Tarnished tire of obeisance to the two fingers?
Now that Renna has left, we now want to go speak to Kale.
Wait, weren't you? Well, you're back.
The first thing we're going to want to do is sell the ruin fragments and the glowstone, as well as the golden rune. Selling the golden rune is no different than using it, so you don't need to worry. If you have any duplicates of weapons or armor, I recommend selling those now. Now we want to buy something from Kale. The first thing we want to buy from Kale is the Missionary's Cookbook 1. I also recommend buying the torch here. Now we want to talk to him.
There are others of my people who yet survive in these lands. If the mood takes you when you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of gold, which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing journey. But thanks to that, things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine. Perhaps you don't need to hear this, but see that no harm comes to my kin. We have a saying, we wanderers, lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, no regard, nothing. But if anyone dares harm us, show them no mercy. That is our code, so to speak. Just the way we are, deeply unforgiving. Goodbye.
You'll notice that we have 2 smithing stone 1s. For the time being, we do want to upgrade this weapon to +1. Now that we've done this, we want to go back to Gatefront. The first thing we're going to do is immediately barge through the gate. We're just going to keep running past everything. Grab the golden seed by this tree. It allows you to give an extra healing upgrade to your healing flask early. Run up to this site of grace and quickly rest at it. Now that you've done this, go to this here and pick up the stone sword key. This will be useful later. Now you'll want to go speak to this maiden here.
Everyone's been grafted. Everyone who came with me. They crossed the sea for me. They fought for me. Only to have their arms taken. Their legs taken. Even their heads taken. Taken and stuck to the spider. Did you know? If you're grafted by the spider, you become a chrysalid. It's quite a lark when you think about it. You're all on your own, are you? And heading to Stormvale Castle? Enticed by the one in the white mask, I suppose. Oh, you've come to be one with the spider? Well, that makes us 2 peas in a pod. But I don't have your courage. It's scary, you know, having your arms cut off, or legs, or your head. I want to be like everyone else, but I'm just too scared. I'm nothing but a craven. Oh, I know. Can you take this little one along with you? The poor thing deserves someone braver than myself. And the spirits look rather fondly upon you. It'll be glad of your company, I think, the little one. It was a pleasure to see you. Oh, can you pass on a message for me? If you see the little chrysalids in Stormvale Castle, tell them I love them. And that, despite my craven heart, I'm sure I'll be joining their club soon enough. I'm finally getting the hang of this whole pain thing, you know.
Now that we've spoken to the maiden, we now want to go back to Calais again. This time, we're going to go west. you'll want to enter this catacomb here. This will be kind of my way of introducing you to the various catacombs around the lands between, and how most of them will play out for you. As you can see, there's a fork in the road leading you 2 different paths. We'll want to go this way first. Make sure to check the corners. After all, there's always an enemy around it. The way you want to deal with these enemies is do a guard counter on them and get a riposte. Once you've done that, pick up the item on the ground. It's some root resin. It's not much, but it is worthwhile. You may want to use your healing flask as well. You'll also want to pick up these things. These are grave gloveworts. These will be used to upgrade your summons later. As you can see, there's a sort of a trap here. This sprays fire. Make sure to run in between the times where it's running fire. Now you'll want to stand here. And as it blows fire again, run to the right side of it and then whack it. This will bring down the trap, and you'll be able to be free of it. You'll also pick up a prattling bait that says hello. This basically allows you to communicate with things and people. One of these will be essential for a quest line later on. Also makes a funny voice too, so even if you don't use it, it's still worthwhile for picking it up. Now you're going to need to find a way to lure each of these enemies to you. These guys are very dangerous in groups. Once you have defeated all of the imps, you're going to go want to pick up that purple plant there. This purple plant is a ghost glovewort. This is going to be used when you start to upgrade some of the more unique and traditionally better summons. Once you go up the ladder, you're going to want to look left and do a charged attack. Once you do this, it'll instantly stagger the mimic. The imp, and then you can kill him. Same thing with this one, except this one, do a guard counter. You'll also want to go to this little door here, and you'll want to bait out one of the imps. This one's the easier of the two. You'll also pick up the Wandering Noble Ashes, which aren't very good, and I don't really recommend using them. They're really only good if you want to have as many opponents attacking a single enemy as possible. However, they often get one-shot, and they do very low damage, so I don't really recommend using them. Now you'll want to pull this lever. This lever will unlock the boss door, and if you kill the boss, you'll get some unique loot. Make sure you keep this talisman equipped, because this boss does fire damage as well as physical. So, be prepared, will ya? You are going to want to two-hand for this fight as well, as your weapon skill will prove very useful. If you want, you can use one of your summons that you just picked up here. Honestly, I honestly recommend using the Lone Wolf Ashes for this fight. After all, you are fighting a watchdog. Do a heavy attack on it in order to do massive damage. Do another heavy attack on it to stagger it, and then get a riposte. You'll then want to do another heavy attack on it to get more damage in. Then back away from the enemy to refill your blue, and then use it to heal. You will stagger it once again and get another riposte in. Now that you've done this, the boss is now defeated, and you have now gotten the Noble Sorcerer Ashes. This is sort of a long-range summon, and honestly, I don't think it's that great, so this is sort of my way of teaching you of how the caves work, and we are going to be investigating more of these as we go along. First things first, though, we're going to go to the Aguil Lake North Grace, and we're going to go pick up a couple items. First things first is we're going to run along the west side, and we're going to look around. Keep an ear out for a person calling.
Oi! You there? Could you help us out, Cully?
Get really close to this bush and then roll into it.
What'd you go and do that for? Oh, yes. I remember. Some clod turned me into a tree. You were just breaking the spell, weren't you? Thank you. The name's Bok. I was pushed out of the cave. Told not to come back. Not ever. Then I ended up as a tree. Lucky you came along, really. Oh, what a shame. When they threw me out of the cave, they took everything I owned. And so this is all I have to express my thanks. I hope you can forgive me. Or, well, if you can afford to wait for a while, I could sneak back into the cave and bring back something of actual value. Then I'd be of some real use to you, I reckon. Right, but I'll need a moment. I'm frightened of them, so I have to gather myself. My knees start knocking, just thinking about that god-awful cave on the shore.
We're going to leave Bok alone for a little while, and we're going to run this way. Our first goal will be to take out the enemies near this bridge over here, because there's a Black Knight protecting it. However, we want to go after the Scarab first instead. Run towards it and get a jumping attack on it, and then keep running after it. Once you have killed it, back away from the bridge, so that way you don't risk aggroing the knight. You'll want to kill the foot soldier trying to attack you, do a guard counter on the knight to bring it down, get a riposte on it, and then kill the foot soldier. Make sure to regen your stamina before taking on the knight. As you can see, the horse and the knight itself have different health bars. If you want to bring down the knight, you're probably going to have to bring down the horse as well. You can also attack the knight while he's on the horse to get some chip damage in. The knight is also very aggressive, and his openings aren't obvious. What I recommend doing is playing very cautiously with your shield and going for guard counters. And going for the occasional odd swing. If you can, of course. As you can see, we just fell off the ledge. And died. That's what happens when you're not careful. This enemy is very tough, and you want to avoid fighting him on the edges of the bridges. Now that you've died, though, you have lost your ability. Now, your enemy is gone. What I recommend doing is, since he only spawns during the daytime, so I recommend setting your time to night, in order to have a rematch. Then you want to upgrade your flask, and now, since we're not really going to be using our Ash of War, I recommend reallocating your flask to your healing flask, so that way you have 5 charges of heals. Now, run back to the bridge. As you can see, the Black Knight's there, and we can have another rematch. Take out the Godric Knight first, then take out the foot soldiers. Heal because you took some damage, and now go after the knight again. Do not go for the attack there like I just did, though. That was very risky, and you shouldn't be doing it. I got lucky there, so always be aware of your openings. This is going to be a very slow fight, so be prepared. The longer a fight lasts, the more mistakes you're likely to make. So be careful to always be aware. Keep going for guard counters until his horse's health depletes. Do not go for that opening, like I did. That was a stupid mistake and I shouldn't have made it. Again, same thing there. However, I got lucky and his attack went over my head. Do not rely on luck to get openings. That is a fatal mistake that will cost you some battles, making you overconfident and thinking that you are better than the boss. Remember, the boss can wombo combo you to death if it needs to. As the boss is down, go for a riposte to do massive damage. Now you're going to want to block counter him. Now that you've defeated the Knight's Cavalry, you could go pick up your loot that I already picked up, however. You got 2,400 runes, and the repeating thrust Ash of War. Now we're just going to run past it. We're going to top up our health before we do anything, though. As you can see, there's another chariot here being pulled by 2 trolls. We're not going to bother with it, though. Instead, we're going up this way. Actually, we're going to go right, because I just remembered something. Over here, there's this person in a chest with some loot on him. That's a Somber Smithing Stone 1. This can be used to upgrade unique items, of one of which we'll be getting very soon. Now that we're at the Waypoint Ruins, you'll remember the note we got from Kale, telling us that there was someone inside the Waypoint Ruins. Now, first we need to find the entrance to this depth. And I just found it. It's right here. Get off of Torrent, and make sure you summon the wolves as well. Go inside and immediately summon your wolves. Get your shield up immediately. Do a guard counter on him as well. This boss is pretty simple to defeat if you know what you're doing, like I do. Make sure you always circle around his back to try to get as many openings. Make sure to keep in mind on your stamina management as well. Do not waste stamina. pick up this site of grace, and instead of doing anything, make sure to sit down and level up. The first stat you're going to want to level is your Vigor to 19. You'll want to dump all of your points into Vigor because enemies are about to get a lot harder. Now we want to go speak to this NPC. This is the person that the note that we got from Kale was referencing. Let's speak to her.
Tarnished, are we? I wonder you should turn up here. I am Selen, a sorcerer, quite plainly. Why are you here?
Although we do not have any use for her sorcery, her quest line will be very important for us to progress, so we want to say we want to learn from her.
Ah, a yen for glintstone sorceries. I dare say your proclivities are far from ideal. Oh well, perhaps nurture will defy nature, with a bit of luck. But one must choose one's masters wisely. I was exiled from the Academy of Rea Lucaria as a reviled, apostate witch. Do you still wish to learn from me?
Say yes.
Well, you are a piece of work. Very well. You are now my protege in glintstone sorcery. But I refuse to coddle or cast kind words. Never. Anticipate grievances, young apprentice.
There are no sorceries we can buy yet as well, so just leave her alone for now. Now you will want to get on your horse. You may remember that other note we got from Kale talking about the Flask of Wondrous Physic along the Animal Trail. The Animal Trail actually starts right before the Waypoint Ruins, in that fork in the road. Make sure to climb out of the Waypoint Ruins and go right back to that fork in the road. We'll want to follow the other path instead. As we follow this path, I'm sure you'll notice that on the right, you will see a site of grace that leads into the Mistwood. You'll want to pick this one up. This will be useful later on. This will be useful to us later when we decide to go properly explore the Mistwood. Now get back on Torrent and follow. On Torrent and go up to that ridge there. On it, there's an NPC we can speak to, whose questline is very important.
Is anybody there? Someone who might be interested in rescuing the great Kenneth Height, servant to the true order and celebrated repudiator of the false. Oh, Erdtree, grant me succor. Ah, you've come to lend me your aid, have you? Well, that's very kind, but no. No, the help is very much appreciated, even from a Tarnished. Despite appearances, nobility is no prerequisite to serving the true order. You might have heard of me, Kenneth Height. Next in line is the rightful ruler of Limgrave. Young Tarnished, I would have a boon of you. I want you to take back my fort. It lies to the south, beyond the Mistwood. A knight commander from Stormvale took it. A fool! And plumb mad to boot. Simply obsessed with blood. What are you waiting for? A kiss goodbye? My fort lies to the south, beyond the Mistwood. Take it back for me. Oh, I see. You wish to know the reward. Fret not. The great Kenneth Height is known for his considerable largesse. The celebrations will be lavish indeed upon the dawn of my fort's retrieval.
We decide to go turn around and go right to the church instead. We do want to go help Kenneth Height later, so we're going to go to the church. After all, there are some very unique items there. The first is the Flask of Wondrous Physic that Kale referred to later. The Flask of Wondrous Physic is a unique item that will apply a temporary buff to your player. For the time being, though, we don't have anything that we could be of use for it right now. However, that's about to change. We're actually going to go ahead and go help Kenneth now. But before we do that, we actually do want to make sure we rest at the site of grace. Did we grab it? Yes, we did. Okay. Now we want to run through. Now we want to run through the Mistwood, and on our way to that minor Erd tree up there. Right here, you'll see a strange structure as well. We're not going to go inside of it yet, as that is a gateway to a different area. We don't really want to go inside, so we'll leave it for now. But don't worry, we will be coming back to it. For the time being, make sure to pick up all of these tarnished golden sunflowers, as well as what's in here. In here is the spiked crack tier and the green spill crystal tier. The crack tier increases the power of your charge attacks. Your charge attacks are what you do when you hold down the heavy attack button. You'll also want to head back here to these ruins, and you'll hear a howling. Get off your horse right now and begin to crouch. Go underneath these ruins. Open this door and you'll pick up a very useful talisman. The Axe Talisman. The Axe Talisman increases the power of your charge attacks, and it stacks with the spiked crystal tier. This is going to be more useful to us than the fire damage negation one, as we aren't going to be fighting very many enemies with fire damage negation for a while. Instead, go around the ruins and go to this little structure here. Inside of it is a chest. Open it up and you'll get some more smithing stones. A smithing stone, too, to be precise. This is going to be needed when we decide to upgrade our weapons some more. Now we want to head back. We actually want to head towards this totem pole here, as that has the map for the Mistwood. Also, if you crack those skulls, those actually have golden runes in them, so make sure to crack every single one you see. By this bear is a Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 4, and over here is the map. Now we want to head backwards along the main path. You'll keep hearing that howling for a while. And it won't leave until you leave the Mistwood. Make sure to pop your runes as well. 800 runes from all of that, so make sure you always crack as many skulls as you can. On the right of that of this cliff, you will see a grace. Immediately go pick that up. After all, you'll be coming back here frequently. Before we do anything, though, rest at the graces, actually. Open your Flask of Wonder. Go here to increase the power of your flask with the Sacred tier. This improves how much you heal. And with this, you can apply 2 effects with your Spiked Crack tier. The first one you're going to want to do is temporarily raise your max stamina and the Spiked Crack tier for extra powerful charge attacks. Since very few enemies in this fort actually deal fire damage, we're actually going to want to use the charge attacks instead. Now you'll want to enter the fort. Pick up the golden seed by the fortress and now wait. You'll also want to summon the wolves. There's a lot of enemies here, and you can't take them all on by yourself. Over there is another Mad Pumpkinhead. Since he's over there, you don't have to take him out, so I recommend just heading inside the fort. There are lots of enemies in here that can be very tough and easily overwhelm you. First are the rats. The wolves will distract the enemies on the lower floors, and now go up. Go up and defeat this enemy here. In here, you'll pick up the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 6, which will allow you to craft bleed items like blood grease, and bleed bolts, and bleed arrows. Now you'll want to head up and kill this remaining enemy. And now, you get the chance to defeat the Godric Knight that Kenneth spoke about. Repeatedly get backstabs on him, and then do a charge dart too, to do 162 damage. This knight is different from the other Godric Knights we have fought because he has a unique blood attack, where he a weapon of blood and then does a quick slash. As you can see, for defeating the knight, we actually get that Ash of War. Now we go pick up these Blood Rothas, and then we need to head up the tower, for at the top of it is an item that'll be very essential for us. That is the Dectus Medallion left. Instead of doing anything else, we're actually going to head back to Kale.
Wait, well, you're...
We'll want to speak to him about the howling in the Mistwood.
The howl of a wolf? In the Mistwood? I suppose he must still be skulking about. I know. Why not meet him for yourself? Next time you hear the wolf's howl, make this signal right under the source. Don't fret. There is nothing to fear. I just have an inkling the two of you might hit it off.
Now it's time to sell whatever items you either don't want or don't need. I recommend selling any duplicates of items you already have, like we did before. Now that we've done that, you don't really need to buy anything, so leave it alone for now, and instead, you'll want to level up. You'll want to level your Vigor to 20 first, and then you'll want to upgrade your Flask by giving yourself a 6th Crimson tier. Now you'll want to speak to Melina.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Erd Tree. This light once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren, but now it is all that guides you. Or so I hear. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden. Upon the cliff in Castle Stormvale is a shard bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring. If the rays of grace signal the castle, then the Elden Ring beckons you. As an ally by pact, I pray that you are fit to face the challenge presented by the ring.
Now that we're done talking to Melina, I recommend going back to Fort Height, and this time, mark the Mistwood ruins on your map. This is where the source of the howling is from. Now you'll want to use that finger snap gesture Kale taught you. This brings Blythe down to you.
Who goes there? Carly sent you, did he? Ever the bloody busybody. Maybe to him you don't seem so strange. The name's Blythe. I'm looking for a man who goes by Darrowell. He fled somewhere nearby. Or so I've heard. Come tell me if you find him before I do. I can offer you ample reward. Darrowell is nothing but a traitor, and in need of a fitting end to his tale.
Blythe tells us to go tell him if we ever find a man named Darrowell. For the time being, though, we're going to leave Blythe alone. Instead, we're going to go to Kenneth Height and inform him about the fort. From this point onwards, the lone wolf ashes won't be as effective for us. Instead, we're going to want to use the jellyfish, who, per the item description, is actually named Aurelia, if you're curious. Now speak to Kenneth Height.
I've been waiting for you with bated breath. Did you manage to recapture my fort? Oh, excellent news. Just wonderful. And the Knight's dead to boot. Well done, my friend. Well done indeed. I knew I was right to trust you. Now, here's your reward, as promised. Go ahead. It's all yours. Right then. Time for me to head to the fort. I've much to do. First, I'll have to re-establish communication with the demi-humans. What's that look? You don't believe me? Well, under the Erd Tree, commingling with the demi-humans is made possible. Even the vulgar shall not be left behind, under the rule of true order. Which is why I, Kenneth Height, next in line as the rightful ruler of Limgrave, have sworn to uphold it. Just you watch, my friend. Just you watch. Ah, yes. I've been meaning to ask. Would you like to enter my service? I see bright things in your future, stout warrior. Enter into my service and learn the workings of the Erd Tree's true order. And who knows? Perhaps sometime down the line, the grace of gold will return to those tarnished eyes of yours. What say you? A fine accord, is it not?
Make sure you pledge service to him.
Very well indeed. I knew I saw something in you. I shall await you at my fort. We shall hold a ceremony for your knighting there, I think. I see great things ahead of us. We are truly by the Erd Tree blessed. Right then, time for me to head to the fort. I've much to do. First, I'll have to re-establish communication with the demi-humans.
Right. For the time being, you'll want to go to the fort. This will be the furthest we can progress Kenneth Height's questline for some time. Head up to the top of the fort to see what's happened. Here you will see Kenneth Height. Go speak to him.
Ah, you, is it? I suppose you must have seen it by now, yes. The sorry state of my fort? Oh, indeed, it is a foul fate for a land to be without a ruler. One must be found, with haste, and not that awful Godric, but a true and stalwart lord of the proper lineage to take the reins of Limgrave. I'm sorry to have lifted your hopes, but I haven't the authority to raise you to knighthood as things stand. The great Kenneth Height issues his sincerest apology. But now, I must begin my search post-haste for a true and stalwart lord of the proper lineage to take the reins of Limgrave.
For now, this is the most we can progress Kenneth's height. So now, we leave him alone. And instead, we need to head south. Way south. Because down south is where we pick up our primary weapon for the run. Well, both of our primary weapons for the run, rather. Make sure you grab this side of Grace. Now you'll want to go up there. Make sure to run past the crucifixion and pick up the item beneath it. Then run all the way to these glowing purple lights. Here is something we call an Everjail. An Everjail is basically where high-level enemies are stored to test your skills early game. And this is where one of our primary weapons is. And here, we also get to see Blythe. And if we summon Blythe here, this is where we get to fight Darrowil, the traitor Blythe spoke of earlier. Make sure to consume your physic here, and then step forward, and get a quick charged R2 against Darrowil. Keep doing guard counters in order to get a riposte. Wait for him to stand up and do a charged R2. Back off to heal. Now that Darrowil is dead, you have now gained the Bloodhound's Fang. The Bloodhound's Fang will be one of our primary weapons for most of the run. Once you exit the Everjail, go speak to Blythe. Also heal. That's nice.
Right. There you are. I had to work for it, but it's done. Don't say I'm not a man of my word. Here's your prize.
You get a somber smithing stone, too.
Oh, yes. I should say, if you venture north to Raya Lucaria and come across a venerable blacksmith who's a little on the large side, tell him I sent you, and he'll be sure to treat you right. I owe you one, I reckon. That's enough chit-chat for now. It's time we parted ways.
For the time being, we're now going... That's true for now. We're going to leave Blythe for a while, and that's the only time... And it's going to be a while before we see Blythe again. Run down and jump down on this spirit spring. What this does, it basically allows you to jump down from extreme heights in order and not take any fall damage. Now you'll want to cross the bridge ahead. On the bridge, there are actually a couple of things there that we actually need. So quickly run past it. On it, on the left side, there will be some smithing stone 1s and a stone sword key. Then you'll want to run to the right and pick up this side of Grace and rest there. You'll then want to speak to this NPC.
Hello? Is somebody there? Might I bend your ear for a moment, please? My name is Irina. I've escaped from Castle Morn, to the south. The servants there have rebelled. I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see. But I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander. I fear for father's life. The servants are full of wrath, filled with hatred for every one of us. They've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morn. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father? At the castle, my sole wish is that he escape, even if his honor should be the price. Please. I just want him to be safe.
Accept the request to deliver the letter.
Thank you. Dearly. Then please, take this. Deliver it to my father, who remains in the castle, if you please. Please, if you wouldn't mind, deliver the letter to my father at the castle. He can be stubborn, but I'm sure he'll come around.
Before we go any further south, we actually have a few things to do. First things first, talk to Melina.
Me? I'm searching for my purpose, given to me by my mother inside the Earth Tree, long ago, for the reason that I yet live, burned and bodiless. There is something for which I must apologize. I've acted the Finger Maiden, yet can offer no guidance. I am no maiden. My purpose was long ago lost. Shall I turn your runes to let my hand share them?
We decide to level up for the last time for now. We want to level Dex. The first thing we want to do is level our endurance some more. As for right now, we are going to need the extra stamina. We now want to head north, very far north, and you're going to want to mark this on the map. Get on your horse and ride that way. For up there is a very special item that will be necessary later. This here is the Strength Knot tier. This gives you a free 10 extra levels in strength for 3 minutes. This can allow you to use very heavy weapons that you may traditionally not have the requirements for. After this, you'll want to continue heading east. Run past all of the enemies and then take a look on the right. Here is a small shack. In here is an NPC that sells a few unique items. Let's go speak to him. But before we do that, make sure to pop your golden rune.
Not seen you before. Name's Bernard. Tarnished, just like you. Let me ask you something. Are you here in the lands between to take up the fight? Does your faith in the guidance of grace hold firm, despite the collapse of the Golden Order?
Say you are not entirely sure.
Honest to a fault, I see. Such thoughts won't behoove you as a Tarnished. But there's nothing wrong with that. Any interest in bearing the torch of my battle arts? All I know is the sword. Picked up a fair few tricks in my time, too. Now's the time to pass them on. To a good Tarnished like you.
The first skill you're going to want to learn is the No skill. This seems like a very odd choice, but this will be useful later.
There's a myriad of battle arts in these lands that I've yet to discover. Mementos of all the warriors who raised their arms in battle, lost and died. A fine tale, all told of true chivalric romance. That's how I fell in love with the sword, and the arts of combat. It grants meaning even to falling in battle, to death itself. Well,
You'll want to rest at this site of grace and equip the no-skill Ash of War onto the shield. This is because we aren't really using the parry skill that we currently have, so we're going to leave it alone. Now you'll want to head north to this Colosseum. Over there is an invader that will drop a very good item. And there's actually a couple more items over by the Colosseum we need to go get anyway. Ignore the wolves that are spawning behind you, as they will soon de-aggro. As you can see, an NPC has just spawned. Two-hand your sword, and then use the Ash of War. Back away, 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 use the Ash of War. As you can see there, I didn't back away far enough, and he caught up to me. And now we have defeated the Recusant. He gives us the Hammer Talisman. This increases your stamina reducing attacks against enemies with shields. This is very good against those knight enemies with shields, so that way you can break their guards more easily. Now we want to head back south. And we want to go over by this ridge. And we want to go on top of that structure. For up there is a teardrop scarab that drops a very good item. He drops another Smithing Stone 1. The Smithing Stone 1 is very valuable, and it will allow you to upgrade even more unique items. You'll get a couple more by the time we're done here. Now you'll want to defeat the Knight. Make sure to use your square-off Ash of War to repeatedly stagger his horse and him. Then do a riposte while he's on the ground. And you will be gifted another Ash of War, the Golden Vow. This provides a temporary 30-second buff to both your damage and damage negation. This is actually very valuable, so don't underestimate it. Now we want to head down and go north again. Now we want to go northeast. Run past all of the demi-humans and enemies and ignore that golem on the ground. Turn right and go pick up a purple item over here. This is that Lance Talisman. This increases your damage on horseback. Since we're going around on horseback a lot, and actually cutting through these enemies will now be even easier. Now we want to head southwest to this catacomb. This catacomb is very special to us because it has two very good items in here. First, we want to hit up the site of grace and rest at it, so that way we can recharge. The next thing you'll want to do is reallocate a flask to your blue. Then you'll want to re-equip your blue flask. Now you'll want to run in here. Make sure to pick up these root resins. This is a very valuable item that can be used to craft different kinds of greases that you can use to buff your weapon, with different status effects and even damage. Skeletons will actually revive, so once you take them down, you'll see this glowing light. Make sure to attack them once again, and they won't revive. Getting a charged R2 on these guys is also very good because it is almost guaranteed to stagger them. Do it again to bring them down. Then attack them once more with a light in order to take them down permanently. Instead of going down the main path, you're going to want to head under. Attack this knight. Wait for him to go down, and then smack him again. Now that you've done this, run down the hallway. You'll want to grab these items, and then do a charged R2 in order to knock him down. Then do a riposte on him. Block. Do a riposte to knock him down. And then do that. Pretty simple overall. Now run through the door and wait for one of these guys to revive. You can also pick up a very good weapon, the Yuji Katana. This is a very strong weapon overall. It's actually better than I think a lot of people realize. It's probably one of the best starting weapons you can have. Before going down, you'll want to pick up this glovewort here. Then drop down and kill him. Make sure to take down all of the skeletons. Now you need to heal, and quickly back away from this area, and now go turn on the lever. This will unlock the boss door. This also summons a couple of other skeletons. Ignore them and just run past them. Keep running and don't stop until you get back to the boss door. Before entering the boss arena, you're going to want to pop your physic and then just go in. We won't be summoning for this fight, as you'll be meeting many of these guys across the game, and it's just easy. And besides, it's just easier if I do it this way. This is a Black Knife Assassin, who's wounded, so he starts with a lower health pool. These guys are very aggressive with their attacks. You'll want to spam the R2 attack on the square off Ash of War, in order to take them down. However, sometimes your range just isn't enough, so be very careful when dealing with them. This one in particular does full holy damage, does pure physical damage, which means you can block the shield perfectly. Keep getting guard counters on him and you'll be able to get a riposte. Knock him down and then back off. Get a charged attack, and then back off again. And use your Ash of War to finish him off. You have now defeated a Black Knife Assassin and have gotten the Assassin's Crimson Dagger. The Assassin's Crimson Dagger means that your critical hits, those ripostes, will now restore HP. I recommend equipping this talisman immediately. Now also pick up the Death Root. This is going to be useful a bit later when we go speak to an NPC. Now go back to the entrance of the catacomb. you'll want to leave the catacomb almost immediately and make a right. Then you'll want to go down and go this way. Up here there'll be another NPC. This is not the one we give death root to, but he is very important.
Hello? Hello? Anyone? Oh, my stars. I'm so happy to see you. I am Alexander, also known as the Iron Fist. And as you can see, I'm stuck here. Please.
Agree to help him out.
My thanks. 1,000 thanks. Just give me a good smack from the rear with something nice and big. And I'll pop clean out, I'm sure. Don't dally. No, there's no need to fret. I'm very well trained. Give it your all, I say.
As you can see, this character is very well loved. You're going to want to pick the heaviest weapon you have. And for now, that's the Bloodhound's Fang. Even though we don't have the ability to wield it yet, you can still do a solid charged attack on him to knock him out. Or not. Use the Lordsworn's Greatsword instead, and he'll pop clean out. Just like he said. Now unequip it and go back to the longsword.
Well played, good sir. Well played. Though that mighty wallop of yours almost spelled the end of me. Well, I'm out now, and that's what counts. I thank you. And as a token of my appreciation, I'd like you to have this. Once again, the pleasure is mine. I am the warrior Jar known as Alexander. Iron Fist Alexander, in fact. I journey to the east, where I intend to further my education in the ways of war. And beyond these lands lie the scarlet, rot-blighted Caelid wilds. And upon their southern edge is Redmane Castle, in which a festival of combat is being held. I'd heard whispers of such festivities before. Doesn't the note...
Sometimes you'll get these annoying pricks attacking you. These guys are sort of shitheads. Sometimes they'll leave you alone, though.
I am beyond need upon this. I'd heard. Doesn't the notion set you? I'm heading east to Redmane. I've heard.
This is all Alexander has to say for now, and so now you can leave him behind. Go down to this grace down here. Before we cross the bridge, though, there's actually one more thing we need to do, and it's actually very close. Go back to the Third Church of America, and then make a left. Go back to the Third Church of America, and then just follow the path I'm about to take. Get out of the church, and go out the main entrance. You'll then want to make a right and go up that hill up there. There's actually an Ash of War that'll be very useful for us. Defeat this Teardrop Scarab, and you'll be able to get it. It's the Sacred Ash of War. For this talisman, you'll want to go back to equipping the Axe Talisman, and then go back to the bridge. You will then want to equip the Sacred Longsword, want to equip the Sacred Blade on the Standard Infusion. Now you can cross the bridge. You're going to want to go along the right side of the graveyard. If you go through the middle, you're going to summon a bunch of skeletons, and you don't want to do that. For now, just go speak to D. This is an NPC who is very essential to explaining those death root later.
Death has left its mark once again. Ah, a tarnished, are you? I'm known as D.
I hunt down those who live in death and weed their death root. Heed my warning. The village here has been touched by death, and worse yet, it is home to a mariner. If you value your life, then go no further. The village here has been turned back.
We are going to ignore this warning, as we are very well equipped to deal with this. First, we are going to pick up that Site of Grace and level up, as we don't want to risk dying and losing our runes again. Our first goal will be to level Dexterity to 14. Since that's the most we can level up for now, that's all we need to do. So we're going to keep running forward. As you can see, we just got a massive buff to our weapon. Using the Sacred Blade Ash of War allows us to kill the skeletons immediately, and they won't respawn. The reason why we didn't pick it up sooner was because I found the Square Off Ash of War to be more useful against the Black Knife Assassin earlier. Once you have defeated the Mariner, all of the enemies will despawn, and then head back to the place where you entered the village. You'll get some Death Root and some better ashes, the Skeletal Minutemen ashes. These are surprisingly very good ashes, as they will constantly respawn much like the skeletons you kill do.
Another fool who won't listen to reason, eh? But with a prowess for weeding Deathroot. How would you like to earn the strength of beasts? If you're inclined to hunt more of those who live in death and weed their Deathroot, then I'll introduce you to Garank, the beast clergyman. I have a matter of my own to attend to, and the beast himself wishes for someone to take my place. What say you? Very well. Show me your map. I've marked the location for you, of a hidden gateway. It will lead you to Garank, the beast clergyman. I have a matter of my own to attend to. I spotted the mark of the centipede here in the village. An ill-omened symbol that should not be. Someone or something threatens the sanctity of the Golden Order and must be eradicated.
For the time being, we're done with D, and instead we are going to head into this section of the area, and you'll see a stone sword key door. This is where those stone sword keys will come in handy. Keys we picked up will come in handy. We're going to place one into it to unlock the fog wall. Some stone sword key doors require 2, some require 1. This depends entirely on how many keys are already in it, as some will only have 1 and some will have none. In here is a very special talisman, the Green Turtle Talisman. This one increases your stamina recovery speed. This is probably one of the best talismans you can pick up early game, and that's exactly why we're immediately equipping it. For now though, we're going to head this way. We're going to go further east, and we're just going to keep going that way. Up here is a church and an invader. This invader is very tough, especially considering the fact we are in this section of the game. For now, while we're waiting on her to summon, consume your Estus. Not Estus, but your, thing. Then use the Sacred Blade Ash of War, and get some quick, nice damage on her. You want to keep backing up and doing a heavy attack. This will basically force her into a loop of sorts. Back up and heal if you take damage. Once you have defeated her, you will get the Sacred Scorpion Charm. This increases your holy damage, but at the cost of lower damage negation, specifically physical damage negation. This isn't very useful to us as we do not use any holy damage. However, it will be in a moment. For now, rest at the site of Grace. Melina will come here soon.
Forgive me. I've been testing you to determine if the Elden Ring would truly have you, if you had the mettle to endure this long and arduous path. It seems my worries were unfounded. Torrent had your measure from the very start, whereas I merely pretended. There is but one other thing I can do to offer you guidance. I can take you to the Round Table Hold, gathering place of tarnished champions, guided by grace.
Go to the Round Table Hold.
Very well. Let my hand rest upon you for but a moment.
Once you are in Round Table Hold, this is sort of a hub area. You'll want to come here to the site of Grace here and level up. You'll want to level up your endurance to 15. Once you have done this, go speak to D, and all the NPCs here as a matter of fact.
Ah, hello again. You haven't gone to see Geraint yet, have you? Well, no rush. You do as you please. Just as long as he doesn't starve to death, eh? Go to Geraint. Killing those who is a path not to be trod.
Once you have done that, go to the Ash of Wars and equip, and just unequip the current one and go back to the square off. Now go speak to Dialos.
Ah, hello. You must be new here. Well, just call me Dialos. The honor of one's house holds little import in these lands. By the way, have you met a young woman named Lanya on your travels? She's my servant, but fickle is the wind. Take your eyes off her for but a moment and she's good as gone. If you find her, please be sure to tell me.
Once you have done that, go speak to Brother Corin.
Oh, I see you've just arrived. Welcome to the Round Table Hold. I'm Corin, a man of the cloth. I teach incantations, the strength granted us by the Two Fingers, and explore the secrets of the Golden Order, so that one day, if a tarnished of the Round Table Hold should become Elden Lord, I might counsel them, ensuring order regains its proper form, righting rule over men. By the way, do you still see it? The guidance of grace.
Say you do.
You do? Wonderful news. Most tarnished are blind to it these days. You are something of a rare breed. Well, what do you say? Care to learn an incantation of the Two Fingers?
There are no incantations you can buy currently, and the ones you can are not very useful. We'll leave him alone for now.
The Golden Order shine through you.
You now need to go speak to this man over here.
Oh,
This is a rare occasion. I can't remember the last time a new Tarnished made their way to the Round Table. Very well. As your senior, I bid you welcome. It is safe here. You may let down your guard. Allow me a word of advice. As your senior, you are a mere visitor to the Round Table. Nothing more. A house guest. Yet to earn their keep. Remember your place, newcomer. There's nothing left to say. Be at your leisure.
Once you have done that, go to the left side. And go speak to this man leaning against the wall. He will say nothing, but he does give you a gesture. Then you will come over here to the Twin Maidens. The Twin Maidens are basically a general merchant. You can buy many unique items such as the scimitar, the battle axe, the mace, the spear, another longsword, a rapier, and a dagger, as well as a longbow and a sacred sphere. You can also get some more stone sword keys, rune arcs, which I will explain their function later, and an entirely new set of armor, along with a couple of more talismans. None of these are very useful to us right now, and we'll come back to buy them later. You now want to head over to the right side, where over here is a man named Hugh. He is a blacksmith.
You're a new face. No matter, it's all the same. Lay out your arms. Let's get smithing. I see you've noticed the chains. Nothing special. I'm a prisoner and these are my chains. I'm trapped by the hold. I'm dying, smithing for you fools. That's all there is to it. No, don't read too much into it. I've no grudge against you. My being a prisoner is no fault of yours. Besides, I don't mind smithing. Despite my differences, the weapons get stronger all the same. Given time, technique never fails. Besides, it helps me forget the sheer terror of her.
While you're here, you can upgrade your weapon. You'll want to upgrade it to +2. Now you need 3 more smithing stone ones and to upgrade it to +3. Now go speak to Fia.
Greetings, great champion called by grace. I am Fia. Circumstances have compelled my stay at the Round Table Hold. Great champion, would you allow me to hold you? But briefly, perhaps you might share with me some of your lively vigor and your stout-heartedness. Doing so will grant me the warmth of a champion, and you, I am sure, will bear a Baldakin's blessing. Do you think it vulgar, perhaps? Where I come from, it is a sacred act.
Answer yes.
Ah, my thanks, great champion. You are very warm. What you felt light up inside you was a Baldakin's blessing. Though it is but a fleeting thing, I am afraid. Come back to me, should you require another. I will take you in my arms as often as you need.
In case you don't know what the Baldakin's Blessing does, it is basically it's an item that will buff your poise and your damage negation for 30 seconds. However, it comes at the cost of 15% of your HP. However, if you use the item, the effect will wear off soon. Honestly, I don't think the HP reduction isn't too bad right now, but it will become worse as it goes along. So I recommend going to find a tough boss that you can use it on. For now though, since we have spoken to all the NPCs, I am going to leave off for a little while. But before we do, I'm going to mark some locations for us to go to. First, we're going to want to head south. As I said before, down here. Since we can't really mark anything explicit on the map, I'm just going to mark here. Another thing we're going to want to do is go to the sending gate that Dee told us about. And last, but certainly not least, we'll also want to go down to the Agheel Lake. We will, in fact, want to go to the Agheel Lake. However, that will come much later. Instead, we'll want to go underneath the bridge. And that is where we will leave off for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.